Welcome to Everyday Linux User. Today we'll be discussing Flatpaks versus Debian packages and the pros and cons of each. So in a standard application, such as an email client or word processor or calculator, you'd have a GUI application written in whichever language you choose to use, whether it's JavaScript, Python, C#, whatever. But you wouldn't necessarily write everything yourself. For instance, if you wanted to save documents to PDF format, you wouldn't write the save to PDF format from scratch. You would use a library that already does the print to PDF. In the same way, you would use an SMTP library or an FTP library or other libraries that are already pre-written. So in my example on the right, there's a single application and it uses 3 libraries. And the benefit of this is when disk space was costly, so you had smaller hard drives, you wouldn't want to install the same library over and over and over again. And it also meant that you didn't have to rewrite the logic for every single thing. So print PDF, you wouldn't want to have that written 10 different ways, because it's better to have one library so that the expertise can be shared into that one resource, so it reduces things like security problems, etc. If I was to write a print to PDF library from scratch, I'd probably make all the mistakes that were originally made in the current print to PDF libraries that are out there. So in the example to the right, 2 applications. The first application is using library 1, 2, and 3, and the second application is using libraries 2, 4, and 5. And as you can see, library 2 is shared between application 1 and application 2. So Debian packages, they work, so you have a manifest, and in that manifest you list the application and you list the libraries that are utilized by that application. So Debian will install the application and it will say, library 1, is it installed? Yes, but we don't need to install it again then. Library 2, is it installed? No. This is a dependency, do you want to install it? And you have to click yes when you're installing the package. Library 3, is it installed? Yes, don't need to install it. So the main problem with Debian packages is controlling them. For instance, in the example to the right, application 1 and application 2 use library 2. So imagine application 1 was written 10 years ago and it uses version 1 of library 2, and it's got some features in there. Imagine it's using Flash, for instance. Application 2 is using features that are in versions 1.3 and above. So it needs version 1.3. Installing version 1 would mean application 2 would break. What this means is the people maintaining library 2 have to keep all of the features from version 1.0 all the way up. Now, if you think 1.0 to 1.3 isn't that bad because it's only 3 minor iterations, imagine you're now at 12.5 on an application or a library that's been written for over 10 years. Using Flash as an example, do the maintainers library 2 want to maintain those features going forward? Probably not. What you end up with is a library that's 90% unused code and 10% used code, yet library 2 has to continue to maintain that code. And actually, the disk space you were saving is no longer being saved because you've got all that bloat inside massive libraries that you aren't using most of the features for. So, hurrah for Flatpaks. So how do Flatpaks work? Well, Flatpaks use the idea of containers. So in the example given, application 1's in one container, application 2's in another. What this means is both of them can have library 2 installed, and they can have their own version of library 2 installed. So application 1 might have version 1 of library 2, and application 2 might have 1.3. In the example given, runtime should actually be across the 2 boxes, because a runtime would be for something like the GNOME desktop. You don't want to install the GNOME desktop for every single application you're installing. You want that shared across the system, because otherwise it would use a huge amount of resources that you don't need to reuse. So is everything perfect with Flatpaks? It's good, but it's not perfect. The sandbox approach means that an application doesn't have access to everything in the underlying operating system. It kind of needs hooks to get to things it needs. What this means is when you're using something like Visual Studio Code, which is in the Linux Mint Software Manager, it highlights problems with things like debugging. When you're trying to debug, you want to use Chrome or another browser, and it doesn't necessarily have instant access to that browser, and you get all sorts of error messages pop up, and it takes some time to debug and get it working. It is possible to get it working, but it's not as easy as when using Debian packages. By and large, though, Flatpak is a way forward from the Debian approach. I guess it will just need honing over the course of time. So let's do some practical, and in this practical, I'm going to list some remote sources for Flatpaks. Consider these like repositories. Show you how to search for applications, how to see what applications are installed on your machine. I'll show you how to install a Flatpak application from the command line, how to run an application from the command line, and how to remove a Flatpak application. So let's start off with listing remote resources. So all you have to do is type Flatpak remote. As you can see, there's only one on my system, FlatHub system. There are other remotes out there. It's hard to actually get a full list of other Flatpak remotes, but the one listed above is the one that's mainly used in Linux Mint. Now in this tutorial, I'm going to show you how to use Flatpak from the command line, but within Linux Mint, the software manager does most of this for you. But it's worth knowing these commands just in case you end up on a system that's pure command line only or isn't Linux Mint, but does have Flatpak installed. So FlatHub system is the remote where you're going to install software from. So how do you see which Flatpaks you've got installed on your system? Well, you can do Flatpak list #more. And that will show you the applications that are installed on your system. As you can see, I've got quite a lot. I actually need to tidy up because I've got far more installed than I need. But as you can see, PyCharm, WebStorm, Slack, Spotify, Brackets, NetBeans. And I'll show you now that these are genuinely installed on my system. So if I go into my audio, you can see Spotify's installed, and programming. You can see I've got Brackets, PyCharm, IntelliJ, NetBeans, WebStorm, all the things that are listed here. So back to the terminal window. If you want to see if a certain application is installed, you can do grep as well as your Flatpak list, and then you type in the things that you want to see if it's installed or not, say WebStorm in this case. And there you go. Obviously, you can use grep with better parameters. So in the one above, a simple case change found the application, but grep's another tutorial for a later date. So the next thing we want to do is look for applications that are listed in the remote repositories that are available for install. So simple command, this one, Flatpak remote -ls pipe more, and that will show you all the applications that are available for install. And you can work your way down the list just by pressing the space bar. And you see there's quite a lot available. It's worth noting that there's no descriptions of the actual applications. You're just looking at the title of the application here, which isn't great. And then this is the people that make the application. So you can actually find the source code probably for the application if you went to there for Voco Screen, for instance. To get a more descriptive list, You can add columns, and you can pick specific column names. So in this case, I've chosen name and description. So in this case, you can see for each line, I'm getting, say, warp there, fast and secure file transfer, RIF share, easy secure free file sharing, Tux guitar, free and open source, tablature editor. So at this point, it's probably worth taking you to the manual. Notice I did Flatpak Remote LS because you get more information about listing remote packages, and you can use the arrow keys to search through, and you'll see later on, so columns equal field, this section here, and these are the fields that you can show. So in this case, I showed name and description, but you can show the application, arch, I'm not sure what that is, the branch and version of the code, the origin, the last commit, or active commit, the install size, the download size, or all for all columns. And there's some examples down there. So as with everything, man is the most important application on your machine, probably, because it tells you how all the other commands work. So how do you search for a package? Well, simply Flatpak search. And this searches for a package that's in the repository, so or the remote. So Flatpak search, in this case VS Code, and I'll run that, and it will come back with 4 possible choices. If I just want the names and description, all I have to do is add my column names in as before. So Flatpak search VS Code, hyphen columns equals name, comma description, and it will show me all the possible options for installing on the machine. So how do you install an application? Okay, so I'm going to search for an application called Dice Roller. As you can see, it's hard to see all the information I need, but I know there's a program called Dice Roller, so what I'm going to do is search for just the application ID. So Dice Roller, and the application ID is codes.nora.g Dice Roller. So I can install the application just by typing Flatpak install Dice Roller. And you'll get information come up. Do you want to use this one? And it asks which runtimes you need a certain runtime, and so yes, and then it will come up with a list of the things that will be installed. So in this case, it will install the GNOME platform locale, the GNOME platform, and all the Dice Roller. So yes, to install it, and then you can see it's installing. So how do you run a Flatpak application? So I'm going to list the application using the Flatpak list command, and you can see that the application is called Dice Roller, and the application ID is gdiceroller. There's the version, is it stable, test, development, etc., and the system. So you can't run a Flatpak application just by typing Flatpak run and then Dice Roller, or indeed Dice Roller. Oops. Dice Roller. That doesn't work. You have to use the application ID, which is this bit here. So in this case, we'll type Flatpak run codes.nora.g Dice Roller. It says it's failed to load a module, but you'll see that there's a dice roller appeared on the screen. So if I want to roll a 6-sided dice, it's a fairly rudimentary app for rolling dice, so the 20-sided dice. So that's that. So you can install an application just for an individual user. So in this case, I'd be installing it for Gary. All you have to do is type flatpak --user install flathub com.skype.client. In this case, I'm installing Skype. And you'll notice that it says no remotes found. And the reason for that is if I do flatpak remote, you'll see it's for the system only. To be able to install for a user, I need to add user as an option. Using this command, flatpak remote add if not exists, flathub, and then the path to the flathub repo. And then if I put --user at the end, it will add the flathub repository just for the specific user. So if I do flatpak remote, you'll see I've now got it for system and for user. So now if I run the scope command, it finds the application and I can install it. So how do we prove that that's just installed for the current user and not every user? Well, start off, did it install at all? So we'll look for Skype. That's not there, it's not in the menu system. But if I do flatpak list, and then I can do flatpak run, and there you see it appears on the screen. Okay, so that proves it runs for my user, but what happens if I want to switch to another user to see if it works for them? Well, I can go to user settings, and I can add a user in. I'll create a user called test. Give it a password. And then I've got a user called test. So now what I can do is I can switch user to test. So you can see I'm now the test user. And now if I run flatpak run, it says it's not installed. So that proves that it's only installed at a user level. By default, applications are installed at system level, but you can force it by changing user to system. But you don't necessarily need the system, that's a default option. So how about uninstalling packages? Well, pretty much the same way. So if I list my Flatpak, I can do flatpak move com.skype.client and click yes, and it uninstalls. And to prove that's worked, we do flatpak run com.skype.client, and it's not installed. And how do you remove the remotes? So as you saw earlier, I added one called user. So how do I remove that one? All I need to do to remove remote is type flatpak remote-delete flathub, which is the name of the remote. And if I want to remove it for the user, just do --user. And then I can list my Flatpak remotes. And you'll see I've just got the FlatHub system. That is the end of the video. If you liked the video, can you please hit the like button? And if you want to see more content from Everyday Linux User, hit the subscribe button. Thank you for watching.